There has never been a better time to run a red dot on your pistol than right now. What used to feel like a high-end upgrade reserved for competition shooters and tactical professionals has completely transformed into the new standard for concealed carry, home defense, and duty handguns in 2026. Modern pistol optics are now faster, tougher, more compact, and dramatically more reliable than ever before, with enclosed emitter designs, multi-reticle systems, insane battery life, and crystal-clear glass becoming increasingly common across the market. But with so many options available, choosing the right optic can honestly get overwhelming pretty fast. Some are built like tanks for hard-duty use. Some are designed specifically for slim concealed carry pistols, while others focus on speed, field of view, or advanced technology. So, after looking through the top contenders dominating the handgun world this year, we narrowed it down to 16 of the best pistol red dots available in 2026. From battle-proven classics to the newest next-generation optics pushing the industry forward, these are the red dots that truly stand out when performance actually matters. 1. EOTech EFLX CE. Starting off with number 1, we have the EOTech EFLX C. And honestly, this optic feels like one of the biggest statements EOTech has made in years. People had been waiting forever to see the company jump into the enclosed emitter pistol optic market. And when this thing finally showed up, it immediately got attention from concealed carry shooters, law enforcement users, and competitive handgun fans alike. The first thing you notice is just how rugged the optic feels in the hand. The housing is built from heavy-duty aluminum and has that classic EOTech toughness people already trust from their rifle optics. Even though it is compact enough for everyday carry pistols, it still feels incredibly solid without becoming overly bulky on the slide. The sight uses a side-loading CR2032 battery, which is a huge improvement because you no longer have to remove the optic to change batteries and re-zero the gun afterward. Battery life is rated around 25,000 hours, depending on brightness settings. And the optic also includes shake-awake technology, so it powers down when not in use, and instantly activates when the pistol moves again. One of the coolest things about the EFLX CE is the reticle system. Shooters can switch between a 3-minute of angle dot, a 42-minute of angle ring, or a combined circle dot setup that feels extremely fast during defensive shooting drills and target transitions. The window itself is very clean with minimal distortion, and compared to many enclosed emitter optics, the blue tint is surprisingly subtle. Another feature people are really going to appreciate is the integrated rear backup iron sight built into the body of the optic, which adds an extra layer of security if the optic ever goes down during a serious situation. In terms of size, the optic keeps a relatively low deck height and works with both DeltaPoint Pro and Shield RMS footprint systems, making compatibility much easier across different optics-ready pistols. Brightness settings are also excellent, offering 5 daylight modes, 1 ultra-bright setting for harsh outdoor sunlight, and 2 night vision-compatible modes for professional users running night equipment. Now, no optic is perfect, and the EFLX CE does have a couple downsides. First, it is not exactly lightweight compared to some ultra-compact carry optics, and second, the enclosed body is slightly thicker than some shooters may prefer for deep concealment setups. Also, while the controls are easy to reach, some people with smaller hands may find the top-mounted buttons a little stiff at first. Still, those are pretty minor complaints considering what you are getting overall. The reason this optic deserves a spot among the best pistol red dots of 2026 really comes down to balance. It combines durability, modern features, enclosed emitter reliability, excellent reticle options, and strong battery performance in a package that still remains reasonably priced compared to premium competitors. With a real-world street price usually sitting somewhere between $425 and $450, the EFLX CE lands in a sweet spot where serious shooters can actually justify the upgrade without stepping into the insanely expensive $800 range some premium optics now occupy. 2. Vortex Defender CCW Enclosed. Moving into number 2, the Vortex Defender CCW Enclosed is the kind of optic that proves you do not need to spend $700 or $800 to get a seriously capable pistol red dot in 2026. Vortex designed this optic specifically around the needs of concealed carry users, And honestly, you can feel that the second you mount it on a slim carry gun. The entire optic stays compact and low profile enough to work naturally on micro-compact pistols while still giving shooters the benefits of a fully enclosed emitter system. That matters a lot more than people think, because everyday carry guns constantly collect dust, lint, moisture, sweat, and debris inside holsters, and traditional open emitter optics can absolutely struggle once the emitter gets obstructed. The Defender CTU enclosed completely eliminates that problem while remaining lightweight enough for comfortable all-day carry. The housing itself is made from durable aluminum and feels extremely solid without adding unnecessary bulk to the slide. One detail that stands out immediately is the aggressive front texturing. Vortex calls it the fast rack textured surface, and it is designed so shooters can rack the pistol one-handed against a table edge, belt, wall, or barricade if necessary. The optic window is also surprisingly impressive for something in this size class. Clarity is excellent, distortion stays minimal, and there is only a mild blue tint that never becomes distracting during rapid target transitions. Reticle choices are another huge reason people are gravitating toward this optic. Shooters can switch between a 3-minute of angle dot, a 32-minute of angle circle, or a combined circle dot reticle, depending on how they train and what role the pistol fills. For defensive shooting inside realistic handgun distances, the larger ring is incredibly fast to pick up, especially under stress. Battery performance is where things get even crazier. Thanks to Vortex's solar-assisted detect technology, the optic intelligently pulls power from ambient light while also managing energy through the side-mounted CR1632 battery. Under ideal conditions, Vortex claims runtime can reach up to 150,000 hours, which is honestly insane for a compact enclosed emitter carry optic. The brightness system includes 12 settings overall, giving users plenty of flexibility whether they are shooting indoors, outside in direct sunlight, or using night vision equipment. In terms of drawbacks, the viewing window is still slightly smaller than some larger competition-oriented optics. So, shooters focused heavily on speed shooting may prefer something with a wider field of view. Also, while the optic is absolutely durable enough for concealed carry and general defensive use, ultra-hardcore professional users may still lean toward premium military-grade optics, with even more extreme abuse testing histories behind them. Still, considering the price difference, the Defender CCW Enclosed delivers ridiculous value for the money. Most real-world prices sit around $299, which places it far below many enclosed emitter competitors while still offering premium-level features, strong reliability, outstanding battery life, and Vortex's excellent lifetime warranty support. For anyone building a modern concealed carry pistol in 2026, this optic honestly feels like one of the smartest upgrades available without completely destroying your wallet. 3. Trijicon RCR. There are tough pistol optics, and then there is the Trijicon RCR, which honestly feels like it was engineered with the mindset that somebody, somewhere, is eventually going to try to destroy it. The moment you pick this optic up, you immediately understand what Trijicon was aiming for. Everything about the RCR screams durability, from the thick walls of the housing to the enclosed emitter construction that protects the reticle system from mud, rain, carbon buildup, dust, and pretty much anything else a hard-use pistol might encounter. Trijicon built the body from 7075 T6 aluminum, and even though the optic is not the lightest carry option on the market, the trade-off is an optic that feels almost absurdly solid. One of the smartest improvements over the older RMR design is the battery placement. Instead of forcing users to remove the optic from the slide every time the battery dies, the RCR now uses a top-loading CR2032 battery compartment secured with an aluminum cap. That alone fixes one of the biggest complaints shooters had with the original RMR series for years. The optic currently comes with a 3.25 minute of angle red dot reticle, and while some shooters may wish for more reticle options, Trijicon intentionally stayed conservative here because that dot size has already proven itself in real-world duty and defensive use countless times. The brightness controls are manual and extremely responsive, offering 10 brightness settings total, including 3 night vision compatible modes and 1 extremely bright outdoor setting that stays visible even under brutal desert sunlight. Another thing many shooters appreciate is that the RCR maintains the same deck height as the standard RMR, meaning existing suppressor height iron sight setups often remain compatible without needing major changes. The sight picture itself is clean and easy to track during recoil, although Trijicon optics still carry that noticeable blue tint people either tolerate or complain about, depending on personal preference. Realistically, that tint is part of why the emitter remains so bright and durable under harsh conditions. So, it becomes a trade-off rather than a flaw. In terms of dimensions, the optic stays compact enough for concealed carry pistols while still providing the advantages of an enclosed system, which is not always easy to achieve. Now, the biggest downside here is obviously price. Most street prices hover around $650 to $700 depending on the retailer, and that puts the RCR firmly into premium territory. It is also slightly heavier and bulkier than some newer micro-enclosed optics built specifically around slim carry guns. But the reason the RCR continues to dominate conversations about the best pistol red dots of 2026 comes down to trust. This is an optic designed for people who care more about reliability than flashy marketing features. Law enforcement officers, defensive shooters, and serious handgun users want optics that survive abuse, hold zero under recoil, and continue functioning when conditions get ugly, and that is exactly where the RCR shines. It may not be the cheapest, the lightest, or the most futuristic optic on the market, but when it comes to sheer confidence and battle-ready durability, very few pistol red dots feel as reassuring as the Trijicon RCR. 4. Aimpoint COA. Some pistol optics try to stand out with flashy marketing, oversized windows, or endless reticle gimmicks. But the Aimpoint COA takes a completely different route by focusing almost entirely on engineering, and that is exactly why so many serious shooters are paying attention to it in 2026. At first glance, the COA looks surprisingly clean and minimalistic for an enclosed emitter optic, especially compared to some of the bulkier designs currently dominating the market. The housing has very slim sidewalls that help keep the sight picture open and natural, which is important because enclosed emitter optics can sometimes feel boxy during rapid target transitions. Aimpoint managed to avoid that problem remarkably well here. The optic uses a fully sealed enclosed emitter system that keeps dirt, moisture, carbon fouling, lint, and environmental debris away from the emitter, making it far more reliable for defensive carry and duty use than traditional open emitter designs. One of the biggest reasons the COA is considered such a major innovation is the mounting system. Instead of relying purely on screws under recoil like most pistol optics, the COA uses Aimpoint's A-cut slide interface, which mechanically locks the optic directly into the slide. That dramatically reduces movement under recoil and removes much of the stress normally placed on mounting screws over thousands of rounds. For shooters who train heavily or run high round counts every year, that is a massive advantage. The optic itself weighs only around 1.7 ounces, making it surprisingly lightweight considering its enclosed construction. The lens measures roughly 15 by 15 millimeters and provides a generous viewing area without turning the optic into a giant mailbox sitting on top of the pistol. The reticle is a 3.5 minute of angle red dot, which feels like a smart middle ground between precision and speed. It is fast enough for defensive shooting while still allowing accurate shots at longer handgun distances. Battery life is another area where Aimpoint continues to dominate. The included CR 2032 battery is rated for more than 5 years of continuous use under normal brightness settings, which honestly puts a lot of competitors to shame. The brightness system includes 8 daylight settings and 4 night vision compatible modes, giving the optic flexibility for everything from range use to professional tactical applications. It is also waterproof down to roughly 82 feet, which is honestly more durability than most handgun owners will ever realistically need. Of course, there are still a couple downsides worth mentioning. The biggest issue is compatibility, because the A-cut mounting system requires specially cut slides, meaning not every optics-ready pistol will accept the COA right out of the box. That can make the optic less appealing for casual shooters who want universal mounting compatibility. The price is also firmly in premium territory, with most setups landing somewhere between $600 and $700 before slide work or mounting solutions. Still, the reason the COA deserves its place among the best pistol red dots of 2026 is because it genuinely pushes handgun optic technology forward instead of simply recycling existing ideas. Between the innovative mounting interface, legendary aimpoint reliability, extremely long battery life, lightweight construction, and enclosed emitter durability, the COA feels less like another accessory and more like a glimpse into where seriously serious pistol optics are heading over the next several years. 5. Holosun EPS Carry. By the time 2026 rolled around, the Holosun EPS Carry had already built a reputation as one of the most practical concealed carry optics ever made. And honestly, after spending time with it, it is easy to understand why so many handgun owners refuse to switch away from it. This optic basically hit the sweet spot between compact size, enclosed emitter reliability, modern features, and realistic pricing better than almost anything else on the market. The first thing that makes the EPS Carry stand out is how incredibly well it fits today's micro-compact pistols. Whether it is mounted on a slim Glock, SIG Sauer, Springfield, or Shadow Systems carry gun, the optic keeps a low profile without looking oversized or awkward on the slide. Even though it is compact, Holosun still managed to give it a surprisingly usable viewing window that feels fast during defensive shooting and target transitions. The enclosed emitter system is one of the biggest reasons people love this optic. Traditional open emitter carry optics can collect lint, sweat, rain, and dust from daily concealed carry, but the EPS Carry seals the emitter completely, helping maintain a clean and uninterrupted reticle picture in rough conditions. The housing itself is built from 7075 T6 aluminum, so despite weighing only around 1 ounce, the optic still feels impressively durable in the hand. Reticle options are another area where Holosun absolutely nailed the formula. Shooters can choose between a precise 2-minute of angle dot, a larger 6-minute of angle dot for faster acquisition, or the multi-reticle system version that combines the 2-minute of angle center dot with a 32-minute of angle ring. That circle dot setup especially shines during rapid defensive drills, where your eyes naturally pick up the outer ring almost instantly. Battery life is classic Holosun territory, meaning it is honestly ridiculous. The side-loading CR1632 battery is rated for around 50,000 hours under normal settings, and the optic also includes shake-awake technology that powers the optic down when idle before instantly reactivating once movement is detected. Some versions even include a solar panel on top that acts as a backup power source if the battery ever fails completely. Brightness settings are extremely versatile too, offering 8 daylight levels and 4 night vision compatible modes. The glass clarity is very respectable for this price range, with only a mild tint that rarely becomes distracting during actual shooting. One thing many shooters appreciate is how tactile and easy the side buttons feel compared to smaller recessed controls on some competing optics. Of course, there are a few limitations. Because this is still a compact concealed carry optic, the window is not as massive as competition-focused optics designed purely for speed shooting. Also, while the optic is highly durable for everyday carry, it does not quite have the tank-like overbuilt feeling of something like a Trijicon RCR. But realistically, most concealed carry users are never going to push their optic to that level of abuse anyway. What really keeps the EPS Carry near the top of the pistol optic world in 2026 is how complete the overall package feels. It delivers enclosed emitter reliability, outstanding battery life, multiple reticle choices, lightweight carry comfort, strong durability, and proven performance at a price most shooters can actually manage. Depending on the version, street prices usually range from around $390 to a little over $500 for solar-equipped multi-reticle system models, and for many handgun owners, that balance of performance and affordability is incredibly hard to beat. 6. SIG Sauer Romeo X. When SIG Sauer introduced the Romeo X series, it honestly felt like the company was trying to combine everything shooters loved about modern carry optics into one refined package. And by 2026, that strategy clearly paid off because the Romeo X has become one of the most respected pistol red dots in the industry. What immediately separates this optic from many competitors is that it was heavily inspired by SIG's military-grade Romeo M17 system, meaning durability and reliability were prioritized from the very beginning instead of treated like afterthoughts. The housing is machined from 7075 aluminum and feels incredibly rigid without becoming excessively heavy on the slide. Even after thousands of rounds, the optic maintains a tight, confidence-inspiring feel that serious shooters really appreciate. One of the strongest features of the Romeo X is the optical clarity. SIG uses an aspheric lens design that significantly reduces distortion around the edges of the viewing window, and the difference becomes noticeable the moment you start presenting the pistol repeatedly during drills. The sight picture feels clean, natural, and easy to track during recoil. The optic is available in both compact and pro configurations, allowing it to fit everything from slim concealed carry guns to full-size duty pistols. The compact version uses the popular RMSC footprint, while the Pro version works with the DeltaPoint Pro footprint, giving shooters broad compatibility with optics-ready handguns already on the market. Reticle flexibility is another reason this optic stands out in 2026. Shooters can switch between a 2-minute of angle dot, a 32-minute of angle circle, or a combined circle dot setup, depending on the shooting environment and personal preference. For close defensive shooting, the large ring is incredibly fast to acquire, while the smaller center dot still provides enough precision for accurate shots at distance. Brightness performance is excellent as well, with 12 daylight settings and 3 night vision compatible modes that work with modern Gen 3 plus night vision equipment. SIG also incorporated what it calls dark adaptive reticle technology, helping the dot remain crisp and usable across changing lighting conditions. Battery life is very respectable for a compact enclosed style optic, and the side-mounted battery system makes replacement simple without forcing shooters to remove the optic from the pistol. The Romeo X is also rated IPX7 waterproof, meaning it can survive significant moisture exposure without issue. One thing many shooters love is how balanced the optic feels overall. It never seems overly bulky or oversized, despite offering a fairly generous window and robust construction. Of course, there are still a few criticisms. The optic is more expensive than many mid-range competitors, with real-world pricing often landing somewhere between $450 and $600, depending on the model. Some shooters also feel the controls can be slightly small when manipulating them under stress or while wearing gloves. Additionally, while the optic is extremely durable, the enclosed protection is not quite as extreme as some fully sealed tank-like optics aimed at military cool tracks. Still, the Romeo X earns its place among the best pistol red dots of 2026 because it delivers one of the most complete shooting experiences currently available. Between the excellent glass quality, durable construction, versatile reticle system, modern mounting compatibility, and smooth overall performance during live fire, this optic genuinely feels like it was designed by people who actually spend serious time behind handguns rather than simply building another accessory for marketing purposes. 7. Olight S. A lot of shooters were genuinely caught off guard when Olight stepped deeper into the pistol optic world with the Olight S, because most people originally knew the company for weapon lights, not enclosed emitter handgun optics. But this red dot ended up becoming one of the more interesting surprises of 2026. What makes the Olight S stand out immediately is that it does not really follow the traditional formula most optic companies are using right now. Instead of simply copying the same design language everyone else already has, Olight focused heavily on convenience, charging technology, and user-friendly features that make everyday carry simpler for regular shooters. The optic uses a fully enclosed emitter system, which already gives it a major advantage for concealed carry applications, since the reticle stays protected from sweat, dust, lint, rain, and debris that constantly build up inside waistband holsters. Physically, the optic remains fairly compact and works well on slim carry pistols without feeling oversized or top-heavy. The housing is made from durable aluminum and feels surprisingly solid considering the optic is priced lower than many premium competitors. One thing people notice immediately is the lens clarity. The Olight S uses a fully sealed spherical lens measuring roughly 0.83 inches by 0.55 inches. And the image through the glass is impressively crisp with very minimal tinting. During rapid target transitions, the reticle stays easy to track without that distracting bluish haze some optics struggle with. The reticle system itself is another strong point. Shooters can select between a 2-minute of angle center dot, a 32-minute of angle circle, or a combined circle dot configuration depending on their preferred shooting style. For defensive carry distances, the large ring makes target acquisition extremely quick, especially during stress shooting or low-light drills. But the biggest talking point surrounding the Olight S is definitely the battery setup. Instead of relying only on disposable batteries, the optic uses an integrated rechargeable 46 mAh battery combined with a magnetic charging cover. That charging cap actually includes its own display screen, showing the battery status for both the optic and the charging cover itself, which honestly feels far more modern than what most pistol optics currently offer. According to Olight, runtime can exceed 22,000 hours on lower brightness settings, which is still very respectable for a rechargeable system. Brightness adjustment is smooth and responsive, and the optic remains daylight visible even under harsh outdoor lighting conditions. Of course, the Olight S is not completely perfect. Some hardcore shooters still prefer replaceable battery systems over rechargeable internal batteries because long-term durability and field replacement options are simpler. The optic also lacks the decades-long track record companies like Trijicon or Aimpoint already have in the combat optic space, so certain professional users may remain cautious about trusting it for duty use. Additionally, mounting compatibility is not quite as universal as some other optics dominating the market. Still, it is hard to ignore how much innovation Olight packed into this optic for the money. Most street prices sit around the mid-$300 range, making it significantly cheaper than many enclosed emitter competitors while still offering modern features, strong concealment compatibility, excellent glass clarity, and genuinely creative charging technology. In a market where so many optics feel repetitive, the Olight S deserves credit for actually trying something different, and honestly, that gamble worked out much better than many people expected. 8. Trijicon RMR HD. For years, the Trijicon RMR was basically the king of duty pistol optics, but the RMR HD takes that legendary reputation and pushes it into a much more modern direction without losing the brutal reliability that made the original famous in the first place. The second you mount the RMR HD on a handgun, you can tell Trijicon built this optic for serious users who demand absolute confidence from their equipment. It still carries that unmistakable RMR profile, but nearly every important feature has been upgraded in ways shooters had been requesting for years. One of the biggest improvements is the new top-loading CR2032 battery compartment. Older RMR models required removing the optic from the slide just to swap batteries, which meant rechecking zero afterward, and people complained about that for ages. The RMR HD finally fixes the issue with a simple but extremely effective top access design that makes battery changes much faster and easier. Battery life itself is excellent too, with Trijicon estimating roughly 3 years of continuous runtime on medium brightness settings using the dot-only mode. The optic also introduces a far more versatile reticle system than older RMR generations. Shooters can choose between a 1 minute of angle or 3.25 minute of angle center dot. And they can also activate a massive 55 minute of angle outer ring for a circle dot configuration. That larger ring dramatically improves target acquisition speed during close defensive shooting while still allowing precise shots when needed. The glass quality remains excellent, and although Trijicon optics are known for having a noticeable tint, the RMR HD manages reflections and brightness extremely well in harsh lighting conditions. Another major improvement is the forward-facing light sensor system. Instead of adjusting brightness based on ambient light behind the shooter, the optic reads lighting conditions in front of the gun, which creates a much more natural and accurate brightness response during real-world use. The housing is built from forged aluminum and feels incredibly strong without becoming unnecessarily oversized. Even under repeated recoil from high-pressure defensive ammunition, the optic maintains zero with impressive consistency. Brightness controls are responsive and intuitive, offering multiple manual settings along with night vision compatibility for professional applications. Trijicon also added what it calls the Index Ridge Alignment Aid on top of the optic, which gives shooters a physical reference point for emergency sight alignment if the optic were ever to fail unexpectedly. In terms of drawbacks, the biggest issue is price because the RMR HD sits firmly in premium territory. Depending on the model and retailer, street prices usually land somewhere around $750 to $850, making it one of the more expensive pistol optics currently available. The optic is also slightly bulkier than ultra-minimalist carry optics, so some concealed carry users may prefer something slimmer for deep concealment setups. Still, the reason the RMR HD is considered one of the best pistol red dots of 2026 is because it successfully blends proven combat durability with the modern features shooters actually wanted, instead of chasing gimmicks. Between the upgraded reticle system, top-loading battery, outstanding durability, intelligent brightness adjustment, and battle-proven reputation, the RMR HD feels less like an experimental redesign and more like the fully matured version of one of the most trusted handgun optics ever created. 9. Steiner MPS. At a time when a lot of pistol optics are trying to become smaller, lighter, and more minimalist, the Steiner MPS goes in the opposite direction and unapologetically focuses on one thing above all else: pure duty-grade toughness. This optic was clearly built for shooters who care less about shaving every ounce possible and more about having a red dot that can survive years of abuse without losing zero or failing when things get rough. The first impression the MPS gives off is durability. The housing feels incredibly robust with thick protective walls surrounding the enclosed emitter system, and Steiner designed the front lens to sit deeply recessed inside an aggressive hood that helps shield the glass from impacts, scratches, and environmental damage. That enclosed emitter design is a huge advantage for professional users because the reticle stays protected from rain, mud, dust, carbon buildup, and other debris that can completely block open emitter optics during real-world use. Even during hard recoil cycles or rough manipulations, the optic feels planted and confidence-inspiring on the slide. The body itself is compact enough to work on duty pistols and full-size carry guns without turning the handgun into an oversized brick. And despite the rugged construction, the optic still weighs only around 2 ounces. Steiner also did an excellent job with the glass quality. The MPS offers true one-power magnification with extremely low distortion, allowing shooters to track the dot naturally, with both eyes open during rapid-fire drills. The viewing window is not the absolute largest on the market, but it feels clean and very usable once the shooter settles into a consistent presentation. The reticle is a crisp 3.3 minute of angle red dot that stays highly visible in almost every lighting condition. Brightness adjustment includes 6 daylight settings, along with 2 night vision compatible modes, making the optic flexible enough for professional applications as well as civilian defensive use. One thing many shooters appreciate is the top-mounted battery compartment, because it allows battery swaps without removing the optic from the slide. Battery life is rated around 13,000 hours on medium brightness settings using a CR1632 battery, which is respectable even if it does not quite match some ultra-efficient competitors. The optic is also fully waterproof and submersible down to roughly 33 feet, adding another layer of reliability for harsh environmental conditions. As impressive as the MPS is, there are still a few compromises. The optic is noticeably more expensive than many mid-range pistol red dots, with most real-world prices sitting somewhere between $450 and $600. Its rugged construction also makes it slightly bulkier than bars and slim concealed carry optics designed specifically for micro-compact handguns. Some shooters may additionally wish for more advanced reticle options beyond the single-dot setup, but honestly, none of those criticisms really change what the MPS was designed to be. This is not an optic chasing trendy features or flashy marketing gimmicks. The Steiner MPS earns its reputation among the best pistol red dots of 2026 because it delivers exactly what serious shooters expect from a hard-use optic: excellent durability, dependable enclosed emitter protection, clean glass, reliable zero retention, and the kind of battle-ready construction that makes you feel like the optic can probably outlast the pistol underneath it. 10. Meprolight MPO Pro F. Not every great pistol optic gets the same level of hype online, and the Meprolight MPO Pro F is probably one of the best examples of that, because this thing quietly delivers an incredibly capable package without constantly chasing internet trends or flashy marketing campaigns. Meprolight has a long history of building military-grade optics and illumination systems, and you can absolutely feel that defensive mindset built into the MPO Pro F from the moment you handle it. The optic uses a fully enclosed emitter design, which immediately makes it more reliable for real-world carry and duty use, compared to open emitter optics that can easily collect mud, lint, rain, or carbon fouling around the emitter. The housing itself feels compact but very dense and solid, giving shooters confidence that the optic can survive repeated recoil and rough handling without becoming fragile. One thing that really helps the MPO Pro F stand out is the balance between size and field of view. Even though the optic stays relatively compact for concealed carry applications, the viewing window feels surprisingly generous and easy to track during rapid follow-up shots. The glass quality is also excellent, with minimal distortion and a clean sight picture that feels natural once the pistol comes up on target. Reticle options are flexible too. Shooters can choose between a 3-minute of angle dot, a 33-minute of angle circle, or a combined circle dot setup depending on the role of the handgun and personal preference. For close defensive shooting, the outer ring dramatically speeds up target acquisition, while the center dot still provides enough precision for accurate shots at longer distances. Brightness adjustment is another strong area for this optic. The MPO Pro F includes 10 brightness settings total, including 2 night vision compatible modes for low-light professional applications. Shooters can also switch between automatic brightness adjustment and manual controls, depending on how much customization they want. Battery performance is respectable as well. Using a CR1632 battery, the optic can reach around 20,000 hours of runtime when using the auto shutdown system. And shake-awake technology automatically powers the optic back on once movement is detected. The optic also meets IP67 water resistance standards, meaning it handles rain, moisture, and environmental exposure very well during daily carry or harsh outdoor use. Mounting compatibility is fairly versatile too, because the optic works with RMR footprint adapter systems, making installation relatively straightforward across many optics-ready pistols. In terms of drawbacks, the MPO Pro F is still less widely recognized than major brands like Trijicon, Holosun, or Aimpoint, which means aftermarket support and long-term reputation are not quite as established yet. Some shooters may also prefer a larger viewing window for pure competition shooting, while others may feel the brightness controls are slightly less intuitive than some premium competitors. Price can vary depending on the configuration, but most real-world listings usually fall somewhere between $400 and $500. Still, what makes the MPO Pro F one of the best pistol red dots of 2026 is how intelligently balanced the entire optic feels. It combines enclosed emitter protection, solid durability, multiple reticle choices, dependable battery performance, and a surprisingly large usable sight picture in a form factor that works equally well for concealed carry, defensive shooting, or duty applications. For shooters who want something rugged and practical without simply buying the same optics everybody else already owns, the MPO Pro F honestly deserves a lot more attention than it currently gets. 11. Burris FastFire C. Sometimes the best carry optic is not the biggest, the most expensive, or the one packed with every futuristic feature imaginable. And the Burris FastFire C proves that point extremely well, because this optic focuses on simplicity, lightweight performance, and real-world practicality above everything else. Burris specifically designed the FastFire C around modern concealed carry handguns, and you can immediately feel that once it is mounted on a slim micro-compact pistol. The optic keeps an impressively low profile on the slide, which helps reduce printing during concealed carry while also allowing a much more natural presentation from the holster. One of the biggest advantages here is weight. The FastFire C comes in at under 1 ounce, making it one of the lightest pistol red dots currently available in 2026. That may not sound like a huge deal at first, but when you are carrying a handgun on your belt every single day for 10 or 12 hours, every bit of extra weight matters more than people realize. Despite being lightweight, the optic still feels solid and well assembled, thanks to its aluminum housing and compact reinforced structure. The viewing window is clean and surprisingly easy to track during defensive shooting drills, especially considering the optic's ultra-compact footprint. Burris also did a nice job keeping distortion minimal, so the sight picture remains natural when shooting with both eyes open. The FastFire C uses a crisp red dot reticle that remains highly visible in bright outdoor conditions, while still adapting well to darker indoor environments. One of the optic's strongest features is the automatic brightness adjustment system. Instead of forcing shooters to constantly mess with manual controls, the optic intelligently adapts to surrounding light conditions on its own, which makes it very convenient for everyday carry use where lighting can change rapidly from outdoors to indoors. The optic runs on a CR2032 battery with an estimated runtime of around 25,000 hours, giving shooters plenty of confidence that the optic will remain operational during long-term carry. Another major benefit is the low deck height design. Unlike some optics that require tall suppressor height sights for co-witness capability, the FastFire C can often co-witness with many factory height iron sights, depending on the pistol platform. That keeps the entire carry setup slimmer and more comfortable without sacrificing backup sight functionality. In terms of drawbacks, the biggest limitation is probably durability compared to ultra-heavy-duty enclosed emitter optics built for military or law enforcement abuse. The FastFire C was clearly designed primarily for concealed carry and civilian defensive use, rather than extreme hard-use tactical environments. The optic also uses an open emitter system, meaning it remains more vulnerable to debris, rain, or lint buildup compared to fully enclosed designs becoming popular in 2026. Some shooters may additionally wish for multiple reticle options or manual brightness overrides, features now appearing on more expensive optics. But honestly, that is not really the role this optic is trying to fill. What makes the Burris FastFire C one of the best pistol red dots of 2026 is how approachable and user-friendly it feels. With most prices landing between $200 and $250, it offers a lightweight carry-ready package with dependable performance, excellent concealment compatibility, long battery life, and straightforward operation that newer handgun owners can quickly adapt to. In a market overflowing with complicated high-end optics, the FastFire C succeeds by simply doing the fundamentals extremely well without overcomplicating the experience. 12. Leupold DeltaPoint Pro NV. Even after years of new optics flooding the market, the Leupold DeltaPoint Pro NV still refuses to fade away. And that says a lot because pistol red dot competition in 2026 is absolutely brutal right now. While newer optics keep adding enclosed emitters, solar panels, rechargeable batteries, and every feature imaginable, the DeltaPoint Pro continues earning respect the old-fashioned way by simply being incredibly fast, reliable, and easy to shoot with. The first thing most shooters notice is the size of the viewing window. Compared to many compact carry optics, the DeltaPoint Pro feels wide and open, almost like looking through a miniature competition sight rather than a tiny defensive optic. That massive sight picture makes target acquisition extremely fast, especially during rapid follow-up shots or high-speed transitions between multiple targets. For shooters who struggle with finding the dot during presentation, the DeltaPoint Pro is often one of the easiest optics to learn on because the larger window forgives small inconsistencies in draw angle and grip alignment. The housing uses a lightweight magnesium construction that keeps overall weight surprisingly manageable while still maintaining excellent durability. Even mounted on full-size duty pistols that see thousands of rounds per year, the optic has developed a reputation for holding zero extremely well under heavy recoil. The glass quality is another strong point. Leupold optics are known for their clarity, and the DeltaPoint Pro delivers a clean sight picture with very little distortion around the edges of the lens. The night vision version also includes brightness settings compatible with modern night vision systems, making it a practical option for professional users alongside civilian shooters. Reticle options typically include either a 2.5 minute of angle dot or a larger 6 minute of angle dot depending on the model, and both remain crisp and easy to track during recoil. The larger dot especially shines in defensive shooting, where speed matters more than tiny precision groups. Battery access is handled through a top-loading CR2032 compartment, which allows battery swaps without removing the optic from the pistol. That may seem standard today, but Leupold was actually ahead of the curve implementing that feature years before many competitors finally caught up. Battery life itself is solid, generally reaching around 1,600 hours depending on brightness settings, though admittedly that is shorter than some ultra-efficient modern optics now dominating the market. One area where the DeltaPoint Pro does show its age slightly is the open emitter design. In 2026, enclosed emitters are becoming increasingly popular for defensive carry because they protect the emitter from debris and weather more effectively. The optic is also physically larger than many slim concealed carry optics, making it slightly less ideal for deep concealment setups. Pricing can vary quite a bit depending on the night vision model and reticle configuration, but most examples land somewhere between $450 and $600. Still, what keeps the DeltaPoint Pro NV firmly among the best pistol red dots of 2026 is the shooting experience itself. Few optics feel this natural once the gun comes up on target. Between the massive viewing window, excellent glass clarity, durable construction, smooth recoil tracking, and proven long-term reliability, the DeltaPoint Pro remains one of those rare optics that continue succeeding, not because it follows trends, but because it simply works exceptionally well every time you press the trigger. 13. Shield AMS. The Shield AMS is one of those optics that almost feels like it came from a completely different direction than the rest of the pistol red dot market, because instead of chasing giant windows or oversized tactical housings, Shield focused on making something incredibly slim, lightweight, and futuristic for serious concealed carry users. At first glance, the AMS barely even looks like a traditional pistol optic. The profile is extremely low and compact, allowing it to blend naturally into micro-compact handguns without making the pistol feel top-heavy or awkward during carry. For people who prioritize deep concealment and comfort above everything else, that alone makes this optic very appealing. But what really separates the AMS from most competitors is the technology behind the reticle system itself. Rather than using a standard LED emitter setup, like most pistol optics on the market, the AMS uses what Shield calls active miniature sight technology, designed to dramatically reduce power consumption while maintaining a crisp and constantly visible aiming point. That allows the optic to achieve extremely impressive battery efficiency despite its tiny size. The housing is compact but still feels surprisingly durable considering how lightweight the optic is overall. Mounted on slim carry pistols, the AMS almost disappears into the gun, helping preserve the natural balance and concealability that many larger optics compromise. One major advantage of the low deck height is that the optic can often co-witness with factory height iron sights without requiring tall suppressor sights, which many concealed carry shooters genuinely appreciate because it keeps the pistol slimmer and easier to conceal under clothing. The lens itself is smaller than competition-oriented optics, but the glass remains very clean with minimal distortion and a surprisingly natural sight picture once shooters get accustomed to the presentation. The reticle stays bright and easy to track during realistic defensive shooting distances, especially for shooters already experienced with compact carry optics. Another strong point is how snag-free the optic feels during concealed carry. Because the AMS maintains such a streamlined shape, it draws cleanly from holsters and reduces the chance of clothing catching on aggressive optic edges during presentation. Battery life is excellent for something this compact, and Shield designed the optic around practical everyday use rather than overloaded feature lists. Of course, there are trade-offs. The compact viewing window means newer shooters may initially find the dot slightly harder to acquire compared to larger optics like the DeltaPoint Pro or Trijicon SRO. The optic also lacks some of the multi-reticle systems, solar backups, and advanced brightness customization, now appearing on larger modern optics. Additionally, while Shield has a strong reputation in the carry optic space, the AMS does not yet have the same widespread military or law enforcement adoption history as brands like Aimpoint or Trijicon. Pricing typically falls between $400 and $500, depending on the model and mounting configuration, which places it in the premium concealed carry category despite its minimalist design. Still, the reason the Shield AMS earns a place among the best pistol red dots of 2026 is because it understands exactly what many concealed carry shooters actually want. Instead of building another oversized tactical mailbox for the top of a handgun, Shield created an optic that feels purpose-built for comfortable daily carry, fast defensive shooting, and discreet real-world use. For shooters who value minimal size, lightweight performance, low-profile mounting, and modern efficiency, the AMS feels less like an accessory and more like a natural extension of the pistol itself. 14. Primary Arms RS10. The Primary Arms RS10 is probably one of the clearest examples of how far budget-friendly pistol optics have come over the last few years, because this is no longer the era where affordable red dots automatically meant poor durability, weak battery life, or unreliable performance. In 2026, the RS10 has become a surprisingly serious option for handgun owners who want modern optic capability without spending half the price of the pistol itself on an aiming system. Right away, the optic gives off a very clean and practical feel. There is nothing flashy or over-designed about it, and honestly, that works in its favor because everything about the RS10 seems focused on delivering straightforward performance for everyday shooters. The optic uses a compact open emitter design with a lightweight aluminum housing that feels solid enough for defensive carry, while still remaining comfortable on slim handguns. Mounted on a modern optics-ready carry pistol, the RS10 keeps a very balanced profile and does not create that oversized mailbox look some larger optics suffer from. One of the strongest features of the RS10 is how easy it is to shoot with. The viewing window is reasonably generous for the optic's compact footprint, and the glass clarity is noticeably better than many people expect at this price point. Distortion stays minimal during target transitions, and the reticle remains crisp even during rapid presentations from the holster. The optic typically uses a 3-minute of angled dot, which feels like a smart compromise between precision and speed for defensive handgun distances. Brightness settings are intuitive and responsive, allowing the dot to remain visible in both indoor and bright outdoor conditions without excessive blooming. Battery life is also very respectable for a compact carry optic. The RS10 runs on a CR2032 battery with thousands of hours of runtime, depending on brightness level, and the optic includes auto shutoff functionality to help preserve power during periods of inactivity. Another reason many shooters appreciate the RS10 is compatibility. The optic uses the popular RMSC footprint, allowing it to mount directly onto many optics-ready pistols, currently dominating the concealed carry market. That simplicity matters because not every shooter wants to deal with complicated adapter plates or custom milling just to install a red dot. The lightweight construction also helps reduce reciprocating slide mass, which can contribute to smoother cycling on certain micro-compact pistols. Of course, there are limitations. The RS10 is not designed to compete directly with ultra-premium duty optics from companies like Trijicon or Aimpoint when it comes to extreme military-grade abuse testing. The open emitter system also leaves the reticle more exposed to environmental debris compared to enclosed emitter designs that are becoming increasingly popular. Some shooters may additionally wish for multiple reticle options or advanced solar backup systems now appearing on higher-end optics. Still, considering that real-world pricing often falls between $200 and $250, the overall value here is extremely impressive. What makes the Primary Arms RS10 one of the best pistol red dots of 2026 is not that it tries to reinvent the market, but that it delivers dependable modern optic performance at a price regular shooters can realistically afford. Between the solid construction, clean glass, user-friendly controls, practical carry dimensions, and broad mounting compatibility, the RS10 feels like the kind of optic that lowers the barrier for more handgun owners to finally make the jump into the world of pistol-mounted red dots without regretting the decision later. 15. Gideon Omega. The Gideon Omega is one of those optics that quietly entered the market without massive advertising campaigns or military contracts behind it, yet somehow managed to earn real attention from shooters simply because the performance turned out to be much better than people expected. In a market overflowing with expensive premium pistol optics, the Omega feels like a company stepping in and saying, you do not necessarily need to empty your wallet to get a modern enclosed emitter red dot that can actually handle serious use. Right away, the optic gives off a very rugged appearance with its squared-off housing and thick protective walls surrounding the lens system. The body is built from durable aluminum and feels impressively solid for an optic sitting well below the ultra-premium price category. Even mounted on compact 9mm carry pistols, the Omega maintains a balanced feel without making the handgun excessively top-heavy. One of the biggest strengths here is the enclosed emitter design. By 2026, more shooters are realizing how important enclosed systems really are for concealed carry, because open emitter optics can quickly collect lint, dirt, moisture, and debris inside holsters during daily use. The Omega protects the emitter completely while still remaining compact enough for practical carry applications. The viewing window itself is surprisingly generous for an optic in this class. During target transitions and recoil tracking, the sight picture feels open and easy to follow, which helps shooters reacquire the dot quickly between shots. The glass clarity is also much better than many people initially expect from a newer brand. Distortion stays fairly minimal, and while there is a slight tint, it never becomes distracting during realistic shooting drills. The optic uses a multi-reticle system that allows shooters to switch between a standard dot, a larger outer circle, or a combined circle-dot setup, depending on preference. For defensive shooting at close distances, the circle-dot configuration feels especially fast because the eye naturally picks up the larger ring during rapid presentations from concealment. Brightness settings are strong enough to remain visible under harsh daylight conditions while still offering lower settings for indoor use or reduced light environments. Battery life is competitive as well, generally reaching tens of thousands of hours depending on the brightness level selected. The side-access battery tray also makes battery swaps quick and convenient, without forcing shooters to remove the optic from the pistol. Another thing many users appreciate is the tactile control layout. The adjustment buttons are large enough to manipulate easily under stress or while wearing gloves, something smaller optics often fail to get right. Naturally, there are still a few compromises. Gideon is still a relatively newer name compared to companies like Trijicon, Aimpoint, or Holosun, so long-term durability data is not as extensive yet. The optic is also slightly bulkier than some ultra-slim concealed carry optics designed specifically for micro-compact handguns. Some shooters may additionally notice that the finish and overall refinement are not quite at the same luxury level as optics costing twice as much. But honestly, considering the price, those criticisms become much easier to forgive. Most street prices for the Gideon Omega typically fall somewhere around $250 to $350, which makes the value proposition extremely attractive for shooters wanting enclosed emitter reliability without entering premium pricing territory. What ultimately makes the Omega one of the best pistol red dots of 2026 is how effectively it balances modern features, practical durability, user-friendly controls, and affordability in a market where many optics are becoming increasingly expensive and overly complicated. So, there you have it. 16 of the best pistol red dots proving just how far handgun optics have evolved in 2026. Whether you care most about maximum durability, ultra-fast target acquisition, deep concealed carry comfort, or cutting-edge enclosed emitter technology, there is now an optic built almost perfectly for every kind of shooter and every kind of handgun setup. Some of these sights are designed to survive extreme hard-duty abuse. Others focus on lightweight everyday carry performance, and a few are pushing innovation further than we have ever seen before in the pistol optic world. But at the end of the day, the best red dot is always the one that matches your shooting style, your carry needs, and the way you actually train. Now we want to hear from you. Which optic would you trust on your pistol in 2026? And which one do you think deserves the #1 spot? Drop your thoughts down in the comments, and if you enjoyed the video, make sure to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you never miss future breakdowns on the latest firearms, optics, and tactical gear. Thanks for watching, and we will catch you in the next one.